Oh my God, it's moving.
Geez, they definitely got a, they definitely got a airflow problem. Is that too much? All right, hold on. Too much fuel? Hold on, guys. Is that too much air or not enough air?
Not enough air.
Okay.
Now we're
It's getting better.
And what boiler is that? Port or starboard?
It was the starboard boiler.
Port.
It was the port boiler.
Well, it was both boilers
Guys,
at first.
come on, you're a junior, you're a sophomore, you don't need a port from your starboard. See, what happened was, that you can tell, what happened was, is see how the vessel's going astern, so they gave it an astern bell. And as they gave it the astern bell, the engines, as you can see, now that's your diesel. That's the start of the diesel, that Watzela. And so they've got the diesel on, so apparently they must have some problems. And so they kicked that baby on, so now that diesel's going on. So they must have had some problems with either the bow thrusters or somebody drew a heavy load. And when they drew a heavy load, whether it was a stern bell or whether it was a bow thruster or whatever, apparently the boiler I&C stuff, the instrumentation and controls, wasn't able to respond quickly enough to compensate the added pressure drop in the boiler. So what happened was, is the boiler pressure is, let's just say it's 600. All of a sudden it started sucking steam down real quick, and then the boiler controls say, hey, I'm supposed to be at 600, not at 540. And what happened was, is now the fuel valves open wide. The air is supposed to go, let me ask you another question. What's supposed to, do you guys already have this, or do you guys already have combustion?
No.
Okay, well let me just say, if you're having a fire, what do you want to have before you have your fire? Do you want to have more fuel or more air?
More air. More air.
More air, just so you don't do exactly what's happening. So apparently the air wasn't making up quick enough to the fuel inputs. So the fuel valve must have opened wide. The air valve wasn't enough air to catch up to the fuel. Consequently, you had black smoke. Okay? So everything is connected. Everything's connected.
Why the diesel?
So apparently someone decided to get the diesel going because they wanted to make sure they had enough standby power. That's typically why they do stuff like that. You know?
I like all ships diesel anyways.
Excuse me?
I like all ships diesel anyways.
Oh no, that's a steamboat.
No, I know that.
Is it?
No, they're not. As a matter of fact, the reason they made
Third time you've seen the ship leave.
And again, the port boiler, yesterday and the day before I was watching it, that's the port boiler. There's an airflow problem or there's a fuel problem with the port boiler. But anyways, so the question, Mr. Doyle, what happened was, is years ago someone said, hey look, we can make a big diesel engine that's going to last 15, 20 years and then we throw it away. The initial investment on a steamboat, because the steam turbines cost a lot more to make. Steamboats are a lot more costly up front to make. They'll last many more years than a diesel boat, but nowadays everything is a disposable economy. So they say, hell, if the engine craps out in a few, the hull is going to be fine, the rest of the vessel is going to be fine, but if they're going to replace an engine, it's no different than your car. They replace the block, replace the engine, put a new engine in, you're good to go. So there's a lot less upfront initial cost on the diesels, and that's why there was a trend to go more to diesel propulsion. I've sailed on diesel ships, and I've sailed majority of them on steam ships. And steam ships last forever, and they literally do.
Except
But
ours.
again, it happens to be based on the initial cost. Steam ships tend to be a little bit more complicated. On controls-wise, there's a lot more systems and subsystems and auxiliary systems. That's why you're taking auxiliaries, although there are auxiliaries on diesels. There's a lot of auxiliary systems on the diesels too.
What about gas turbines?
Gas turbines, I was on one of those, and that was a merchant vessel that was subleased to the military. Gas turbines, they're no different than the shoreside power plant. A gas turbine's no more than an aircraft engine, and they run on diesel. That's all it is. And you've got, and we can, if we get some time, we can talk about that. But there's not a lot of gas turbines out there. The military has gas turbines because you got a high power to fuel ratio. They're more efficient, and you can get some high speeds, and you can go pretty quick. I remember when I was my senior cruise, we're getting ready to pull out of here, just like this is right now. And what happens is there's not enough turning radius with the mud flats and everything, so the vessel always backs out of the slip and goes ass down to the east end. So the stern will flip around and then it'll go out towards the west end of the canal. And but it was windy like nobody's business, and they didn't have enough tugs on the stern. And as we're pulling away, we had the field full of everybody's family all waving, we're getting ready, and we're just tearing up the dock. There used to be all wood piling, and we're just ripping the dock, one piling after, snap, 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 and everybody's running away, and we're all laughing our asses off. We're all up on the deck, we're all out there just, laughing our asses. We ruined the deck. The dock was ruined for about, it had to have been 7, 8 years before the Commonwealth had enough money to rebuild the whole dock. But yeah, it was just so windy. They didn't have enough tugs to pull the stern off. And you can see, what's that smoke on the front from the foredeck? What do you think that is?
From the tug?
That's a tug on the other side. I was waiting for some knucklehead to say, the container's on fire. Okay.
So how you get rid of the trash, right?
On a diesel ship?
Excuse me?
On a diesel ship, are the auxiliaries like a separate system?
No, it's the same thing, but you'll have steam boilers on diesel ships too. And you'll have, what they'll do is they take the waste heat from the diesel, exhaust, if you ever touched a tailpipe on a car or a muffler?
Not for fun.
Okay, is it hot or cold on a motorcycle? You ever touched your leg on the side of a motorcycle muffler? Okay, it's hot, right? So what they do is they take all that heat, they run it through what's called a waste heat boiler. And you just run that heat right through a big shell, and the shell just makes more steam. So you can basically increase efficiency. You're taking the waste heat of the exhaust, and you're transferring that waste heat into steam.
Because they actually had the
and then you take that steam and you use that steam to heat up oil systems,
they were going to take me
heat
and Lamb as a scullery.
all sorts of plant needs. Okay. Yeah, we always kid. I mean, how many deckies were up on that bridge when they took off? Did you take a look?
All of them?
I mean, place was packed.
Rory.
Like, how many deckies does it take to screw in a light bulb? Now, what are all those cadets doing on that lifeboat right there on the dock? Are they getting ready to launch just in case there's an emergency?
I think it's best to plan.
That's a vessel fan.
Hey, the Ranger.
No. Not the fire boat thing.
Now that tug is pushing that nose out.
The big nightlight is gone.
Good holiday, great room, I think. That's pretty sick, bro. We can watch like that.
Like me?
Yeah, big time.
Are you on Engine Watch? I was on Engine Watch this weekend. That sucks.
Yeah, when you get in the merchant marines, you start sailing, you'll be doing that every 24 hours. Every 24 hours, you'll be pulling in and pulling out to the dock. Starting the engines, stopping the engines, maneuvering. It's a pain in the neck. Especially if you ever go up the Mississippi, or you go up to Baton Rouge, or if you ever go down the St. Lawrence Seaway, or if you ever go through the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, or up to Portland, Oregon. It's non-stop maneuvering. It's a pain in the neck. All right, let's get on to bigger and better things. I know you guys can't wait to get your quiz.